Hopefully I'll edit this part out. If not, hi YouTube, you get like 5 extra seconds of content that isn't
very good
right.
or useful
Yeah.
or anything.
Right. The problem with that is that the YouTube editor is completely different from when I actually used it, which is silly. Okay, now we're going to push this button. Hello, Internet. We are officially on YouTube and Podbean instead of just one or the other. Ah, crap. I forgot to open my bottle. Now I'll have to get my church key. Thanks, Owen, for the church key if you're watching this. Anywho, today's beer of the... I forgot the theme song. Sing a theme song.
That's enough.
Crow is better at the theme song. I miss Crow.
Miss Crow already? After only one episode?
His theme song was good at least. Anyways, today's beer of the week is Dragon's Milk by New Holland Brewery, which you can see clearly in HD on our fancy-ass video. But not on the Podbean version of this, because Podbean has no video.
Yeah, just audio.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, I
need
already
to see
screwed up. So drink! The drink sign is back from all 2 people who remember my YouTube channel. So if you're drinking along at home, you have to drink whenever we drink, which is most of the time. So I'll drink to that. Cheers.
I'm not drinking this week, so you'll have to drink twice.
I'll drink to that. Cheers. Dragon's Milk is the exception that proves the rule that I don't have a go-to beer, and I would rather have a new beer than any go-to beer. This is like the closest thing I've ever had to a go-to. It's just so good that I keep coming back to it. This thing gets like a 17 with probably a +4 racial bonus to being a beer, so it's like a 21.
It is Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, this stuff is good. Go buy like 6 and mail me 5. Yeah, comes out with a lot of head in this stoneware mug, which I think I've been over before. Stoneware mugs make a lot of head. Not sure how that works. I can't quite draw a shamrock in the head, but I can draw kind of a wonky ass triangle with a line through it. So go me. All right. Anywho, where are we? Where's my notes? Okay, so brief news stuff this week. Mostly nothing important happened, but the new Link amiibo released, which is cool, and my wife got me one for my birthday. I just got a couple of other links here for comparison. I thought it might be kind of neat. The Podbean listeners are probably being like, "Hey man, why you being like that?" And I'm like, sorry. I wouldn't have shown anybody if we were just doing Podbean still, but we're trying to branch out, and iTunes is a dickhead to work with, so we're going on YouTube instead.
YouTube is going to be better.
Yeah, YouTube is good. Anyways, the only other notable piece of information that came out this week, I guess kind of notable that Nintendo Labo VR released today, but I didn't get it because the Breath of the Wild patch that lets you play Breath of the Wild in VR with it doesn't come out until the 25th.
So you're going to wait until the 25th?
Also, I'm broke right now. So,
yeah,
there's that.
That also makes sense.
Yeah. And God Eater 3 is coming out on the Switch. Do you ever play God Eater?
Never played God Eater.
Me neither. It sounds notable. I've heard of it. Looks kind of cool from the trailer. Okay. So, that's the news. Unless you got any news. Got any news?
No news here.
I'll drink to that. Which means you all have to drink. Okay. Anywho, we're going to move on to our video game topic pretty quick here because news was lacking this week. Although, actually, I was kind of thinking when news is lacking, we could just talk about the video games we've been playing. But you said that you've been mostly having the barf poops instead of playing video games.
I've been mostly having barf poops instead of playing video games. Although Enter the Gungeon just released its final update. I was able to play one run of that.
Neat. And then you had to run.
Yeah.
Because you had the runs.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
a lot of run puns here.
Why don't they have a shit-flinging gun? They never added one. Well, they may have in the new patch. I haven't gotten very far in it yet.
All right. Well, that does sound like the kind of thing. Like there's over 500, 1,000 guns or something.
There is a lot of guns. They have the quad laser. They have.
There's not as many guns in Wolfenstein, which is what I've been playing, because I finally got back to Wolfenstein. Because basically I bought Wolfenstein 2 when it came out on Switch, which was like a week before Octopath Traveler, so I barely played it, and then my life got stolen and sucked away by hundreds of hours of Octopath, which was perfectly fine, except for then I never got a chance to come back to Wolfenstein until right now. So I've been doing that this week, and it's pretty cool. I like killing zombies. Nazis, that's what it is, not zombies.
Nazi zombies have been, they
Right.
polluted everything.
Nazis and robots.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sweet. So check that out if you haven't. I guess it didn't do as well as Doom. I'm not sure I like it as well as Doom. The level design I notice is like a little more confusing to kind of work your way through in some cases than it was in Doom. But it's still pretty fun and lots of great run and gun action and motion controls because it's on Switch.
Confusing in a good or bad way?
In a kind of a bad way. It's confusing because like you'll be running through levels and like just a lot of the textures look kind of the same. So
no
it's
landmarks or anything?
Yeah, well, because a lot of them are kind of confined to corridors, which is a little bit how Doom did it too, but I feel like Doom's corridors had more uniqueness, and it might also be partially that I think maybe some asset reuse was done between the two games, possibly? I'm not sure, because a lot of these levels are also like, this looks kind of like some level from Doom. So, I don't know if it's asset reuse or just the two similar styles of games kind of seeming to blend together in my mind, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I played some of these levels before because I played Doom, you know? But yeah, pretty good. So, video game topic for the week is... Dun, 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 dun. We have to pair a whole bunch of beer styles with what genre of video game they would go best with. Because that sounds like a thing. Let's start with Imperial Stouts. This isn't an Imperial Stout, is it? It's just barrel-aged stout. It's good. Okay, so barrel-aged... I don't know if I have barrel-aged stout in here. I have stout on here. Let's just start with stout. What kind of video game goes well with a stout?
Probably an old school roguelike, the grid-based, you gotta think through things, crawl along the ground, get killed by eating a slime because the corpse went bad. It's kind of the sort of beer you take slow because it's like a meal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll accept that. How about a brown ale? It's like more nuttier, kind of sometimes a little sweet. Stouts can be a little sweet too, but not, I don't know, I feel like it's not usually one of their defining characteristics. So brown ale, still kind of in the same vein with that. You could maybe have a brown ale as a meal, but I don't know, maybe more as a snack than a meal.
Yeah, it's a little lighter, more of a Diablo-ish game than
right.
True turn-based roguelike.
Right. Diablo's sort of roguelike because it's got all the procedurally generated dungeons anyways.
Yeah, and if you play at Iron Man, then it is a roguelike because
right.
You die.
And they even have a mode for that. Because why not?
Yeah.
Alright. IPAs. I feel like the kind of people that drink IPAs are the kind of weird, pretentious jerk that are like, oh, IPAs are so much more refined than anything else, which is kind of the same as people who love JRPGs.
Okay, I'm glad we were going to the same place on that.
Funny how that works. Yeah, because, like, nothing against JRPGs or IPAs, but they are liked by douches.
Oh.
Like, a lot. Somehow. Yeah, Pilsner. I don't... Yeah. You like a good Pilsner? You can see his glare on YouTube, but you can't on Podbean. Sorry, Podbean.
I'm trying to think of a genre that's bland enough.
Well, don't go
Maybe-
too bland because Light
Okay.
Lager is also on here.
EA sports games.
There you go.
I'm gonna. No offense to the people who like those games, but they're about on the same level of blandness as a Pilsner.
Yeah, I can see it. So what's even more bland than that? Because Light Lager is next.
What is the difference between a Pilsner and a light lager?
A Pilsner is an ale.
Pilsner's lager.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go for Gold Ale instead of Pilsner.
Alright.
So we'll put light lagers on EA Sports games. What's like a step above that, but not too far for a Gold Ale? Because most Gold Ales are kind of similar to...
I want to say NFL Blitz, but I feel like Blitz is more than a step above that.
Yeah, I liked NFL Blitz. Because it wasn't just a sports game. It was like it had everything a sports game had, and also you could be a giant robot. I was a giant robot. And yeah, it was just like a little bit more over the top and wacky and awesome. I liked that game, which is weird because more normally sports games, I'm like, well, I could spend $60 on the new Madden, or I could go to the thrift store and buy a football for $1.99. And then I, could also stop being so fat. Maybe. I'm kidding. I'd give it up after like 2 goes. Just like Madden.
Yeah. Madden. It was fun to exploit some glitches once.
Once.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I think we'll put the Gold Ale for okay, so the light lagers are let's put the Gold Ale as the EA Sports games, and one step below that, the light lager is just going to be Zelda 2.
Zelda 2
It's its own genre, and it is as bad as Bud Light.
Zelda 2 is more painful than a Pilsner.
That's true.
Like, Zelda 2, you need something you need something spicy or painful.
Okay, well, we do have chili beer later on the list. We'll come back to that.
All
Dark
right.
lager.
Dark lager.
Yeah. The good lagers. I
See.
feel like, because, like, the lagery characteristics, I don't mind too much, but, like, with a light, lager, it's like, generally it's like a one-note beer, if anything, and they're very watered down. You darken them up with... They usually come out with a little bit more balance, more
like,
maltiness, but still kind of lighter than like a brown ale or something.
Like a Doppelbock or something.
Yeah, Doppelbocks are usually a little meatier, so to speak, but yeah, something in that general kind of, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
I am.
You're smelling what I'm stepping in.
I would say an adventure game.
Adventure game?
Yeah, anything
Okay.
from Zork to Myst.
Cool. I haven't played Myst in a long time. Last Myst I played was Myst 4, because it released on original Xbox.
I only ever played the original.
Huh.
It was,
Actually, I might have played Uru slightly more recently than Myst 4. I don't remember. It was right around the same generation. It was like a Myst spin-off. It was pretty cool. Myst 4 I really liked because it, like, in addition to all the Myst stuff, like, all of the cutscenes and stuff like that was actually not animated. They had, like, actors come on for the entirety of the game, and I feel like there are very, very few games that could get away with that, and Myst is one of them, just because the, point-and-click nature of it. You could just, walk up to a scene and have literally just a pre-recorded actor or actress acting out the scene. So I thought that was kind of cool.
yeah. Do you know that the 3 characters in that game were played by 2 people?
Huh. Neat.
They were both brothers.
What about the little girl?
In the original Myst.
Oh, in the original Myst. Okay, I was like, I thought we were on Myst 4 still, and I was like, I remember an old man and a girl, and that was the only ones that I remembered.
Oh.
So, yeah. The original Myst, I really don't remember hardly anything except for clicking around and getting lost.
Yeah, it was kind of a... I remember spending a lot of time in it and getting nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just... That's the kind of thing that you can do with a Dark Lager. You can get lost in it and go nowhere. Perfect segue to Imperial Stouts.
Imperial Stouts, I'd say CRPGs like Morrowind or Baldur's Gate.
Totally open world.
Totally open world, totally rich, deep. Gotta get into it. You'll die a bunch if you don't know what you're doing.
You might die a bunch if you do know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've been having that issue a little bit in Breath of the Wild, going through for a third playthrough and being like, I haven't touched this game in roughly a year because I've been playing lots of other stuff, and now coming back to it, I'm like dying again. Because also I have like no good gear and not very many hearts because, you know, I started a whole new game. So it's still good, but I'm like dying. Especially since I decided to do the hardest thing that everybody says is the hardest one, is to go to the Gerudo Desert first.
Oh, because you have to figure out how to deal with lightning while basically naked?
Yeah. On the plus side, one of the barbarian pieces of gear is right in the Gerudo Desert, so on my way in, I saw the maze, and I, like, paraglided right to the middle of it and pretty much just jumped right into the shrine. So that was pretty cool. And that's the only piece of gear I have that has more than 1 armor rating. That is 3 and increases my attack power. So
Master Quest?
It's pretty good. No, I didn't do Master Mode this time because I want to save my Master Mode file because I eventually want to come back and like 100% it on Master Mode and get all the friggin' Koroks and stuff. And I'm not sure if I ever will just because time, but that is my intention. So
You want the special prize?
yeah, I want Hestu's turd. Alright, so Hefeweizen.
I've never had a what? A Hefeweizen?
Hefeweizen. Yes.
I've never had one of those.
Yeah. German style wheat beer.
Oh. Now I'm thinking wheat beer. I'm like, rhythm game?
Maybe. So generally kind of lame, but occasionally really awesome.
Yeah.
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 That's a Hefeweizen. Check out Heliocentric Hefeweizen from Odyssey Beer Works. Is up in Arvada. They have that's a good one. It's made with like bananas and something, so it kind of is like sweet and not bad. That is my recommendation for a good Hefeweizen.
It is a good time to be alive and like beer.
Especially in Colorado. We have like 8 million breweries per capita.
Yeah.
Porter. Like a quarter step down from a stout. Like some porters, you actually aren't sure what the difference is between a porter and a stout.
It's a kind of a difficult one.
Maybe like not a totally open world, but like a fairly explorable, like mainline Zelda game, like Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not open world, but it totally feels open world. Especially since nothing in 1998 was even close.
I'd go with that.
Cool.
I'd go with an original Zelda.
Yeah. And chili beer.
Are we gonna go with Zelda 2? Basically all the pain in the ass Nintendo games from the NES era.
Right.
That would
which is mostly Zelda 2.
Kill you.
Depending on who you ask, Mario 2. Especially since it was just copy and pasted of a non-Mario game with Mario sprites on it.
I don't feel like people had as much trouble with Mario 2.
Not as much trouble, but I feel like in the circles that I pay attention to, there's as much like, oh, that's the black sheep of the family. We don't like that one because it's not really a Mario game.
What is it about the sequel always being the black sheep?
I don't know. In my family, we were all black sheep, except for my brother Dan, who's the white sheep of the family. You know Dan.
I do know Dan.
So that's
That
funny to you. And one of our listeners.
one of our listeners.
Yes, my other brother who's listening. Hi, Josh. Anyways, yeah, so that's that, I think. So is there anything we missed? We were kind of confused on light lagers and gold ales.
Yeah.
They're all just kind of crap. Let's put them in a category of just like E.T. and Superman 64.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All
Crap
right.
games.
Got
We're
that out
not.
of
We
the
don't
way.
like light beers except
No.
for IPAs.
Occasionally. Yeah. All right. Next, we're moving on to our table topic, which is why class skills suck. So, we've kind of had some interesting debates about this, especially Chris, who accidentally started like a 10-page flame war one time. I forgot to put our logo up at the start of the episode. So this is our logo. Look at us. We have to drink because of I forgot that. So if you're drinking along at home, take a drink.
Twice.
Oh yeah, I have to drink for Chris.
You're
too,
drinking
right?
for two people now.
It's like being pregnant and like having a second sandwich, but you're not in my belly.
I'm over
and
here.
it's not a sandwich.
I'm over here. I'm trying to avoid shitting myself.
Yeah, please don't shit yourself on the podcast,
I'll try not to shit myself on the podcast.
because then I'll have to like just randomly like call somebody and like start recording like halfway through the podcast, and they'll be like, "Wait, why are you calling me?" And I'll be like, "You're on a podcast now." And they'll
It'll
be
just
like,
cut out in the
"Oh."
middle and there's someone totally different sitting here in a different chair.
Right. Because they don't want to sit in the shit chair. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, we've had some interesting times discussing this topic. So class skills just in general, we both are big naysayers for. They're stupid. Because like my dumbass picture shows, the wizard for some reason cannot learn to swim very well, and the fighter can't learn basic math skills or how to, you know,
The fighter
ride a
doesn't
fucking
knowledge.
bike.
The fighter don't books.
Yeah.
So the thing about class skills is there's an argument. There's basically a simulation argument for them and a game design argument for them, a game balance argument for them, and both of those arguments are bad.
Yeah. So, just for sake of complete clarity, why don't we go over exactly what those arguments are and exactly what our counterpoints might be?
All right. So the narrative argument or the simulation argument for class skills is that, you know, fighters should be good at fighting and things related to fighting, and wizards should be like nerdy sorts. You study books and don't swim too good,
Like
or
you?
and can't. Yeah, like me.
Right.
But the thing is that there's plenty of examples of in fiction of characters that have all sorts of oddball skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, Elric. He's like a badass sword-wielding sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't...
Yeah, and I kind of just don't understand, like, why, in theory, if a wizard wanted to be able to swim really well, if he just did, why he wouldn't learn and get better at the same rate as a fighter or a monk or what have you. Like, if you're just, like, practicing swimming every day, then theoretically your skill should improve in swimming. Yeah. Identically to how it would for somebody else, you know?
It's
the
like,
fighter may still be able to swim faster than you because he's got a higher strength score, sure, but that's already accommodated for in the fact that he has a higher strength score.
So, it doesn't make sense that you would get half as good at a certain skill because of your chosen life profession if you spent as much time improving it as someone else.
Yeah.
That's... Even if you were to bring the ability score argument into it, that's still accounted for with, well, ability scores.
Right, yeah. As another kind of example for this sort of thing, if we're just talking about weapon proficiencies, fighters get proficiency with great swords right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards don't. But, you know, they can take that feat to get that extra training, you know, in the flavor text,
and they're not...
were. And then they are just as effective as a fighter using that great sword at level 1 through 5 until the fighter gets a second attack.
Yeah.
You know? And then that's how that's balanced. And I feel like that's much better balanced than straight up just be like imagining that if you were a wizard and you spent an extra feat to use a greatsword and you still literally had a worse attack by half the entire time.
Well, they kind of do.
Well, I guess, yeah, actually, never mind. Yeah, because I guess they do have... I was thinking it was actually 3/4.
Coming to the game design argument. Yeah. And the game design argument is that class skills provide niche protection. And that makes sense to a certain extent. It's like, what is it? Rogues are the only ones who, with disable device, can disable magical traps, I think?
Right.
It's like, that's their thing. Only they can do that.
Right.
But it's piss weak niche protection. If someone really wants cross-class skills, they'll take them.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been better off prohibiting the skills entirely.
Yeah. And then, like, what happens when you get to, like, that obscure player who's like, I want to play a barbarian who, as a profession, is a locksmith? Why the shit can't he do it?
That's a good question.
Because
why can't he
a barbarian who has been a locksmith for 20 years or 20 levels is far and away less effective than a rogue who has just randomly opened shit in dungeons, you know, once every 3 or 4 sessions when the DM decides to put in a locked chest.
To make the rogue feel useful.
Yes. Because, admittedly, they're not all that useful outside of that.
So, the funny thing about that is that I would be fine with that if it was rogues are the only people who can open locks from no one else can do it outside of, you know, bashing it open.
Yeah.
But that's not how they implemented it. They just said, okay, we're going to half-ass it. We're going to compromise. And that's not good game design.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Is there anything else that you can think of as to why to say fuck you to class skills?
Let's see. Skill points already account for... Back to the world balance argument, skill points already account for how much time people have to spend time training free skills and getting good at them.
Yeah.
Rogues already have 8 of them, and wizards have 2, and fighters have 2, which show that they're really focused on one end of things, and rogues have a fuck ton of free time for some reason.
Right, yeah. Because they don't have anything useful to do until a trap is there.
Yeah.
Until the barbarian's trap sense says, hey, rogue, go over there and fix this thing so we don't all get electrocuted. You know, I don't know. Because that again, is something that I've always felt was a kind of oddly balanced thing, but it is another thing going into balancing this. Because as a fighter, especially, if you've got 2 skills, and I decide I want to make one of my skills, like, to match my, the backstory that I have written has me as a profession of whatever, and you want to, put that into your character, not only flavor-wise, but also mechanically, you're still
half
crippled.
your character.
Yeah, you're spending half of your skill points to be worse at something than another class, and also give up like some major utility that you could also have. And I feel like players should be able to make their character as per the flavor that they want, without any nonsensical restrictions like that. Like, I feel like it's an arbitrary restriction just to be like, you are the fighter, so therefore you cannot have a profession as a locksmith or a bookkeeper because you don't know how to read. Stupid ass.
Fighters aren't allowed to have class skills. They can be good at climbing and running and jumping.
Right. Not even perception.
Fighters can't see things.
Right. I feel like, especially, another thing, I guess, going into this is that if there is, like, who the fuck isn't good at looking at stuff? Does that really take practice? Like, I feel like that should even just not be a skill and just be automatically every class gets it trained or something.
You've met imperceptive people before.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But
maybe you could take that as
it doesn't
like
make
one of your disadvantages